How do you kick off your January 2nd, right? The new year with your company? How do you do it? Like as a leader, owner, like what messaging do you provide your staff? This like envisioned, this enthusiastic message. What do you do? And so I'm just going to tell you guys what I did. I'm not going to say that it didn't go over like a canary in a coal mine, as they say, or a turd in a punch bowl. But it didn't land as much as I hoped it would land. But it's what I did, so I'm going to tell you what I did. But I went over the 3 priorities. And as a company, the top priority, the top reason that we're in business is to build relationships, right? Build relationships with our teammates and build relationships with our customers, right? So one of the things that we value, we don't value transactional relationships, we value relationships, right? Where there's give and take, reciprocity, collaboration. We have a high value for relationships, and we spent some time talking about that. The second thing that we hit on, so in this order, the relationships, this is the top priority. The second priority is productivity. And we describe productivity as like your job, but 2 elements to your job. One is the chores, right, the work, like what are the specific tasks to your job, and then which creates productivity, right, produces productivity. And the second part I found pretty interesting as I was kind of researching this a little bit over the weekend, and I can't tell you the source that I learned this from, but was talking about initiative. Oh, it was Seth Godin on his blog today, blog post, if you guys follow Seth, is he talked about 2 levels of productivity. One is the chores, the task, and the other is initiative or innovation, right? So we'll use initiative. And so I talked to our staff about initiative, like for you, and I use Dan Funk, who's one of my newer guys. I'm like, for you, like, so you've got all these processes that we want you to follow, but we don't want you to check your brain at the door. What initiative could you take that might create a better process? And that will lend itself to productivity. Like ask yourself questions like, why do we do things this way? Is there a better way to build the mousetrap type thing? So that's the second piece on productivity, which was, again, pretty interesting, impactful for me. And again, we'll see the level of impact that it had with our staff. And then the third is training, is that for us, for Alluring Glass to hire you, you've got to be willing to do 2 things. One is you've got to be willing to be trained. And the second thing is you got to be willing to train others, right? And so what I said to Dan Funk is like, Dan, like we're hiring you and we're saying, hey, here's a bunch of areas, which again, you can refer to, that we're interested in training you, like to be stronger relationally, to be better, obviously train you in your career, train you if you want to get in better physical fitness, train you if you want to get in, if you got mental health issues, which a bunch of our guys struggle with anxiety and depression and panic attacks. And do you want to, can we resource you and help you get better in those areas? Can we help you with your finances, right? How much money, are you saving? Are you set up for retirement? Can we help you anyway? We listed a bunch of these things. I think there's 6 things that, and I said to Dan Funk, I used him as an example this morning, but it's like, hey, at Alluring Glass, we want to train you, and we want you to take responsibility to train other people. So it's not a one-way street, right? So Dan is responsible for training. I used Finn and Daniel Finnegan. Anyway, Daniel Finnegan. And Kyron is an example. Dan Funk, it's your responsibility to try to help Finn and Kyron if they want to get better relationally or in their career, or mental health, or financially or physically. Like, you need to take responsibility to help train and support them, just like the leadership team needs to take responsibility for, again, helping get alongside you, Dan, as well as Finn and Kyron. So anyway, again, but the priorities are relationship building, number 1, productivity, right? The chores and the initiative that you can take, which lends itself to productivity. And then training. Like we will, for my buddies, right, that own businesses, lead businesses, Alluring Glass we will build the reputation that we are excellent at training and developing people. We are excellent at training and developing people. And we're going to spend 2024 really focused in on those 3 things. And the order matters, right? The relationship, it matters. And so we started with that at the top, productivity, and then training. All 3 of those matter, and the order matters.